Thank you, Erin. Thank you to all of the fellows and my colleagues. You're incredibly thoughtful. It's been an extremely challenging 3 years. This year probably being the most challenging. Dr. Tatum told me before I accepted the chief position that it would probably feel like it was a thankless job. And while at sometimes it did feel that way, I can honestly say that I truly learned so much during this past year. I'd like to thank Eric, who's not here today with us, for all of his help this year. I really couldn't have done it without him, and I wish him and Rodeo the best of luck next year. Most of all, thank you, Keisha. You are the glue that holds this fellowship program together. This 6-year journey of residency followed by fellowship has been really incredible. It started, it passed very quickly. Going through it, it didn't always feel like you would see the light at the end of the tunnel, especially in the middle of the night when you felt there must be something wrong with the 0667 phone because there can't possibly be a phone that rings that much. I remember as an intern on P2, during the first month of residency, having just started, where the biggest challenge was trying to navigate the circular pods on P2 and figure your way out around them, and let me tell you, it was a victory when you figured out how to get around. And the second thing was figuring out how to write an H&P. So in Egypt, our documentation, let's just say, is very, or lack thereof, was very different than here. Erin didn't have a license when we started, and on our first day they paired us together, and we would round on our patients in the morning, and we would edit each other's notes before rounds. It was the beginning of a lifelong friendship. At the end of intern year was when I first met Dr. Eichenhorn, and he asked me what I was planning on doing for fellowship training. And at the time I was considering doing a HEMOC fellowship, and he said, "Are you crazy? Why on earth would you want to do that? You should do something more interesting like pulmonary critical care." And I thank you for talking to me and convincing me to go into pulmonary critical care. It's my passion. I love what I do. You've been an amazing mentor, and I will forever be in debt. Fellowship was riddled with its own set of challenges. I don't think any discussion of fellowship challenges would be complete without the mention of the 0667 phone again. I think I can speak for all the fellows when I say that when any phone rings, especially if it's a SpectraLink phone, you put your hand in your pocket and you try and figure out if it's your phone that's ringing. I think all of us have answered our personal phones saying, "MICU," realizing that it was some random family member or friend that was on the phone. Sometimes one of the biggest decisions you debated in your head at night was not whether your patient needed pressors, whether they needed to be intubated, whether they needed inotropes, etc. It was whether to answer the phone if you were in the restroom. What would be more awkward? Would it be more awkward to not answer the phone and have somebody call Dr. DeJovany in the middle of the night and say, "Your fellow's not answering the phone," and then having to explain to him when he called you at 3 in the morning that the reason was that Subway got the better of you that night? Or did you just bite the bullet and answer the phone, knowing that the person on the other line could hear the echo, know that you were in the restroom, even if you told them you were going to call them back, and whatever, it just is what it is. Dr. DeJovany, thank you for being an amazing role model and the type of physician we all aspire to be. Dr. Coutu, I can't tell you how much it means that you're here today. Thank you for teaching us to trust no one. Dr. Swiderick, thank you for being the example of grace, efficiency, and decisiveness. When you're rounding with Dr. Swiderick, you know she's got your back, and you know things are going to get done. We all learned, I think we can all remember bronching with Dr. Simoff for the first time in the bronch suite. and hearing his deep voice suddenly while you're apprehensively holding the bronchoscope yell, "Breathe!" At first you're thinking, oh man, he can tell I'm nervous. He's telling me to breathe. And then you realize he was talking to the patient. And we also all learned the hard way that while we thought that the red substance that flows in the vasculature was called blood everywhere else in the world, it was called heme in the Bronx Suite. And you'd better know that. You did not call it blood ever. You knew that the soundtrack of the day would be country music if Dr. Ray was bronching. It would be Peruvian salsa if Dr. Diaz was there. And I'm sure whenever, moving forward, whenever we see mucus in the airways, we'll hear Dr. Ray in our minds saying, ooh, lots of boogers. Let's suck out those little boogers. Or as Dr. Diaz would say, let's suck the buggers. And when doing EBUS TBNA, they'll be looking at the node, hearing Dr. Diaz say, make it bigger, put it in the center, make it bigger. Okay, now, go. When it comes to bronchoscopy, we take away Dr. Simoff's passion, Dr. Ray's grace, and Dr. Diaz's precision. And then there was chest x-ray conference. Being at chest x-ray conference for the first time, you realize that you're not a toddler learning how to walk, but more like an infant learning how to crawl. In front of all of the people that you admire and look up to. We very quickly learned not to ask for a chest CT if Dr. Bowles was there. And no matter how unsure you were, to never think or start a sentence with, I think. Because you knew that the next thing that Dr. Bowles was going to say was, do you think or do you know? You're a pulmonologist now, you had better know. We learned to listen to Dr. Ouellette very closely. When he said, so you're saying you see interstitial changes at the right base? Do you think that you meant that you see large, well-defined cystic structures in the bilateral lung fields? And in your head you're thinking, facepalm, of course. Thank you, Dr. Ouellette, Dr. Qualley, Dr. Bowles, and Dr. Morris, for what at the time was a grueling experience, but in retrospect was such a great learning opportunity. The junior fellow room is across the hall from Dr. Jennings and Dr. Lazar's office. So we were privy to much of the banter between them. In addition to being great physicians, they taught us that relationships that we form during training truly last a lifetime. And that although we did sometimes wonder if when the door was closed, they took out Star Wars lightsabers, while fighting over the statistical nuances of the most recent New England Journal of Medicine article. Dr. Jennings helped us perfect the guess what I'm thinking game. Since he would constantly say to residents on rounds, things like, I don't think the patient has CHF. I think that he's in blank dick shock. You knew you were doing a good job in the PH rotation if Dr. Oddish offered to food, and if Dr. Gahigas didn't add anything to his attestation of your notes. In transplant, you knew you needed to reverse gears and take back whatever you just said. If Dr. Stagner started staring at you blankly, you knew you had to say the exact opposite of what you quickly learned that it was not personal, but that you were parachuting in, taking care of patients that they had been seeing, her and Dr. Allensbeck had been seeing for a very long time, and that they truly cared about their patients and just wanted what was best for them. Dr. Mendez taught us patience and compassion when patients and their families are going through their most difficult times. And Dr. Thavaraja taught us how to do the best damn detailed chart review you could do in under 15 minutes. To the West Bloomfield crew, Dr. Hudas, both of them, Dr. Starosta, Hurst, Maboob, and Evangelista, thank you for making West Bloomfield a much better rotation and for taking our calls in the middle of the night and providing that much needed support. And then there's Dr. Tatum, never knowing what she was really thinking, but always supportive both personally and professionally, a mom to all of us. At last count, you had 30 children this year, the most of anyone I know. You've been an incredible source of support and an amazing mentor, and truly an advocate for the fellows in the fellowship program, and for that we will be forever grateful. Now to the fellows. You're an amazing group of people, and it's been a privilege to be your colleague for the last 3 years. To Denai, thank you for being so patient and for teaching us so much in the Bronx Suite. To Chris Hartwell, who isn't here, thank you for being the jack of all trades and be willing to come in and look at some laceration that maybe needed to be sutured and helping us with that. To Hafez, the gentleman always, thank you so much for all of your help and for being such a pleasure to work with. To Meme, you are by definition Superman. You managed to complete your fellowship while adding 2 beautiful twins to your 2 older sons. You were always willing to help and take on extra shifts or do extra work whenever it was needed, always with a smile, and for that, I'm very appreciative. I think whenever any of us started complaining about being tired, we just said, well, if Tamim can do it, I should probably stop complaining. Best of luck to you in Indiana. Jenny, you've been great to work with. I don't know where you are. Yeah. You've been great to work with and have also had to manage getting through fellowship with a grueling schedule. With Martin's grueling schedule, who would have thought that a pathologist schedule would have been worse than ours? And managed to get through it with such grace and with such a beautiful daughter, Violet. Definitely an inspiration. Best of luck at DMC. To Murad, who's not with us today, he is the quiet wise man of the group. He's very caring and compassionate, with incredible work ethic and immense integrity, and it was a pleasure to work with him, and I wish him the best of luck in Ohio. To Kamran, I couldn't figure out why we were always thinking the same thing until I found out that we have the same birthday, and then I figured, that's why you're so smart. Always filled with new, refreshing ideas. Your passion is incredibly infectious and inspiring. You're truly a lifelong friend, and best of luck to you at UT Houston. And to Erin, we made it. We're done. I could go on and on. You're not just a friend, you're a sister. We have no family here. You and your family have become our family. Thank you for making us part of your family here. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank my husband Mo for being such an amazing friend, husband, and father. We had our beautiful son Adam during fellowship, and I really couldn't have done it without you. This is as much your accomplishment as it is mine. And I truly love you for standing by me through all of this. Adam and I are blessed to have you in our lives. Training in pulmonary and critical care at Henry Ford has been a truly fulfilling experience. And while I know it sounds cliche, truly is a dream come true. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for helping shape the physicians that we've become and for contributing to this dream. I'm truly blessed to be able to say that I come to work every day doing what I love, and for that I will forever be grateful. Congratulations to all of the fellows. You will forever be part of the Henry Ford family, and I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors.